Okay, now we're going to make some toffee so that we can dip it later on. It's a favorite of people in my family, and it tastes a lot like a Heath bar. It's going to take us about 30 minutes, and what you'll need is a good size 4 or 5 quart pan, a wooden spoon to stir it with, and some water and a brush to wash down the sides so that the sugar doesn't crystallize. Toffee only takes 3 easy ingredients: 2 cubes of butter, 1 cup of sugar, and 5 tablespoons of water. And we start with a good size 6 quart pan and dump in the butter. And the sugar, and we use 5 tablespoons of water. Okay, now you'll want to stir this the entire time it's cooking, because this is one of the candies that can go to sugar pretty quickly on you. It's easy to make, but it's easy to make wrong as well. I've got it on a pretty high temperature, and I think it's okay to cook it on a pretty high temperature. Just make sure you're stirring it. Now the important thing here is just keep the ingredients stirring as the butter is melting, and keep the sides cleared away. So just take a little bit of water and brush down the sides while it's melting. That's where you don't want crystals to form around the pan. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. Now the further this gets along, you won't want to scrape that aside, because it'll make the rest of your toffee crystallize. But until it starts to foam and starts to turn colors, you can stir it and wash it down with no problem. You have to stir it the entire time because it can burn on the bottom. It's all butter and sugar, and you don't want it to stick to the bottom, so you need to be stirring it all the time. This is one candy that you have to stir all the time. Okay, first it's just buttery, and then it looks like the butter's kind of separating, but it'll all come together and start to kind of look a little foamy. So I do this one more time, and then I probably won't do it again around the sides. As it gets a little more foamy, we kind of leave it alone. You don't have to stir it really hard, but you have to keep it stirring. You can see that the butter is starting to boil a little bit harder, and it's going to get real foamy. And as it gets real foamy, it's going to turn darker brown, more like a brown paper bag. And that's the color we're looking for. It seems so long when I'm here by myself. Can you see how it's starting to foam? Get foamy? And now it's just going to do that until it gets brown. And one thing I would just stir. I don't stir right around the edges to bring that in. I just stir it along the bottom and kind of leave the edges alone. You can see it starting to turn a little more brown. We'll let it get a little more brown before we take it off and pour it in the pan. You need probably a 9x9 pan to pour it in. It doesn't need butter, because there's a lot of butter in this, and it'll pour in and it'll come out of the pan. When you pour it into the pan, don't scrape the pan. Just pour it out. You'll see me pour it out, and just let the rest of it go. And I just put it in the sink and wash it up. Okay, now see how it's kind of separating too? I'm going to get ready and pour it in the pan now. I'm just going to take it and dump it in the pan, and don't even worry about the rest of that. Just put it in the sink and let that go, and it'll settle in the pan, and it'll cool for a while, and then we're going to score it. Now the toffee takes a few minutes to set, and it's very, very hot, so be careful not to burn yourself with it. What you can do is it gets a little bit more set, you can you can sprinkle some chocolate chips on top and spread it around, and sprinkle a few nuts on there if you like, some chopped nuts. Or you can do like I'm going to do. I'm going to take this knife and score it so that it will break easily, and I want them to break into uniform pieces so I can dip them in the chocolate and put them in cups so they'll look nice in the chocolate box. Take any knife, either a knife or a cleaver, and I just kind of make a little mark in the toffee. When it's not set, it'll kind of melt away, so you kind of have to just keep repeating it until it sets enough that you can do it. But I like to just kind of mark it a little bit, because when it does set up, it sets up quite fast. So you can see that the as I'm scoring this, it's kind of losing that mark, and you just have to kind of play with it until it sets up when you want to score it. I just kind of keep making the marks until it sets. You can see it setting a little bit more. Now this will make about 49 pieces of toffee. Bend when I pull it out. Now it's still hot enough, it'll bend. And we really want to see how I can bend it. We don't want that. We want it pretty much to come out. Okay, now I think we've got the toffee set up. We're going to take it out. I just like to take it and tip it up. I put a paper towel underneath because a lot of times there's some butter. It's a very buttery candy. And it'll just pop out and set it on there and break it into, as it cools, it might not be quite cool enough yet. Break it into the little pieces to use for your chocolates later on. Sometimes they don't break exactly right, but that's okay. You can still dip them and they taste just good, just as good, just the same.
Thanks for watching my mom's video. This means a lot to her. She's been doing it for over 20 years. We hope that the tips that you've received are helpful, and we would love to hear tips from you on how we can make our video better. So please log into our website, and we'll look forward to seeing you again.